Good morning again, and thank you. Thank you, Jill, for those magnificent stories. Wow, really heart-opening and heart-wrenching. So, the flow. I intended to come at it from a slightly different perspective, but as I looked back at what the other four speakers who spoke on flow did, it kind of fits right in because, truth is truth. Different words, maybe some different angles, but bottom line, truth is truth. So I've always been attracted to the teachings of Buddhism and Hinduism, especially the Buddhism. But it's been a few years since I was deep in the study, and so it's kind of, I wanted to go back and look through some of the texts and bring that perspective more to life. And of course, I think most of us know, I mean, things mingle, it seems, nothing's like pure this or pure that in these modern times, because we are exposed to so many of the ancient traditions, and the ancient traditions have been brought forth with a modern twist. And so, going with the flow, being in the flow, it's like psychology now, and it's kind of everywhere. And we also recognize that our own thinking is where we can benefit. Observing, analyzing, really more observing rather than analyzing, but observing our own thoughts and our own reactions is one of the most predominant methods. It might be, enfolded in different techniques, different meditative practices, or writing, journaling, or studying A Course in Miracles. But basically what we're doing, it seems these days, is just observing and looking at our inner landscape and recognizing how we are reacting to our outer landscape. And so what I came to are two texts that really brought my attention. Of course, the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and a new one that I hadn't really read before from the Hindu tradition, the Ashtavakra Gita. And it's just a beautiful text. It's a 60-page booklet that's available as a PDF online. And so I'm going to probably end a little bit with some readings from that. But ultimately, what are we doing here? We're trying to figure out who we are. We know we're not just this human body. I think most of us here, we know that. I don't think I knew that until I was maybe 45 or 50, and even then I was skeptical. But, we're so much more than that. We are, as we always say here every Sunday, we are divine creations. We are one with all, one with one another, which of course is part of all. and we're spirit, and we are eternal. We are eternal, blessed, beautiful, perfect spirit, created by some divine source, coming into existence by some, who knows, we don't know. And I think arguments about how did we get here and why did we get here, and doesn't really lead to much happiness. It's just an unnecessary question in my mind. But knowing we're divine, knowing we can, we don't need to worry about what people think of us. We don't need to worry, did I say or do the right thing? Do I look right? Am I in the right club? Do I go to the right spiritual center or church? All these worries are not coming from our divine, heavenly, beautiful nature. They're coming from this identity that we seem to have with an independent, separate physical existence. So many of the teachings help us to look at that and understand that's not who we are. And of course, you can't just be told that's not who you are, so, knock it off and, be your radiant, beautiful, shining self. In Dave's talk, he talked about that very thing. We are divine. We are divine and we are consciousness. So we need to get a glimpse of that. We need to understand that. We need to experience that. One of the things I like about the Eastern traditions is that there's a great deal of emphasis on the experience. It's not just read this book and believe it because it's divinely inspired writings. It's like, don't believe me, try it out for yourself. Sit down and meditate on this. What do you find? Sit down and see if you can find who you are that's permanent, that's not going to die, that's not going to, change form, disintegrate, whatever. And so it's the experience of doing that can bring us to a deeper understanding and a deeper awareness and an ability to let go, as Annie talked about in her talk, to just let go of all the notions that we have. In Janet's talk, she used the metaphor of the river, and that we can flow in all these different rivers that are labels for what we think we are, ending with I'm in the retired river. I love that one. It hit home. But it's sometimes we're just flowing along. This is where flow is not good. But there is no good or there's no bad, is there? But I'm going to say this is where flow is not good. When we're just flowing along mindlessly, not mindfully, mindlessly, going with the flow and doing what we think we're expected to do, being how we think we're expected to be. Who says? But we have all been subjected to that. We have grown up with that. We have been taught ad nauseum to be fill in the blank. And that's not joy, that's not bliss, and that's not who we are. So meditate. You've heard that before. But all right, I've got to go to this. Ashtavakra. I'm just going to read this little paragraph here. If you wish to be free, know you are the self, capital S. The witness of all these, the heart of awareness. Set your body aside. Sit in your own awareness. You will at once be happy, forever still, forever free. You are everywhere, forever free. If you think you are free, you are free. If you think you're bound, you are bound. Meditate on the self. One without two, exalted awareness. Now, one might ask, if I sit in that space, if I just become a yogi and sit around and, know of my self-awareness, what's the point of living? And if you're not that, what's the alternative? So can we be both? Can we live our life, not be up on the mountain, but live our life, but know inside and have in our awareness that I am not that. I am all. I am divine love. And so is everything I see. Everybody, everything I see is of the same substance. That's a great way to live. Well, in the body, eventually the body will be laid aside for all of us and for all of our loved ones. And there's pain and suffering, of course, because we get attached. But at the other level, we know that there is no death. There is no loss, because the thing that we think we've lost is not that. That is also divine awareness from which we cannot be separate because of the oneness. So it's a conundrum to live this life, be in that space, be in that understanding, stay in your heart, and always remember. And yet, I believe it's possible. I believe it's possible. And I think many of us, if not all of us, have sort of been down those roads. You know, Lyriel spoke in her talk about in the many years of intense self-examination, and coming to realize one as part of that energy flow of the universe. So flow of the universe, where things arise, things fall away. We are in that, and if we don't fight it or cling to it, we can be more at peace. We can be happier. So it takes a great deal of vigilance towards our thoughts, a great deal of meditation. The simplest thing I found, and I did it a whole lot during these last 7 weeks, is breathe. Didn't have time to sit down in any posture or in any room or light a candle or, but I could breathe, and I could be aware that I'm not breathing. Breathe. And I frequently ask myself, does it matter if so-and-so is doing such and such that way? I wouldn't do it that way, or I didn't do it that way. Here's grandma. I was the perfect parent, right? Yeah. Like yesterday, it hit me. I did the same thing. And I want to save my daughter from making the same mistakes I made. But you can't tell somebody how to do things. They have to know it themselves. All we can do is love one another. So many times a day, I reminded myself, I'm only here to love this family that I'm staying with. I'm only here to love them, no matter what. I think I was fairly successful, but with success. But I noticed in my thoughts, I was not doing that great of a job. I noticed I had lots of judgment thoughts, lots of opinions. I mean, after all, I was in a different state. I was in Florida, and I have some opinions about Florida. I was, observing my daughter, who is still my daughter, which then brings up all kinds of, past history. And just, any number of things. Like, have you ever watched, what is it? Something about housewives. There's the Real Housewives. Oh my gosh. Judgments. Like, seriously, they live like that? Are they friends? I watched one episode and it's like, no wonder she thinks the way she thinks. She's watching this show. I didn't say it out loud. I've learned it's not good to express some of my opinions. So the challenge, I'm thinking I ought to send them a couple of $1,000s for giving me this great residential workshop. Because I had so many opportunities to observe my mind. Yeah, so we need to be constantly vigilant to our thoughts and our sensations, and just notice, just watch, and breathe, keep breathing. Formal meditation, of course, is very useful. Another term that we hear a lot is about equanimity, and this is a big something that's spoken of a lot in the Buddhist traditions. Having equanimity, to not be living where you're either attached to something or adverse to something. I want it this way, or I need to have this, I need to keep this. What if I lose this? Whether it's praise or objects, or I'm averse to it. I don't like that. I have opinions. I judgments. Why are people doing that? Just being adverse. And so we try to find this balance of just being with equanimity. Like, could be good, could be bad. We don't know. I've, really come to learn that I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what anything is for. We never know the purpose of our experiences. And as soon as we jump in and try to figure it out, we're wrong or we're off track. So we just learn to live and accept that whatever's coming in front of me could be good, could be bad. I don't know, but I can love it. I can love it and know that I am perfectly safe. Nothing can change my divinity. It's a given. We're divine. We're beautiful beings. We have peace and joy boundlessly within us, which is there for our opportunity to express. And so we truly can love everything, no matter how it looks. And Jill's story, the terrible beauty of it all, the terrible beauty of it all. We can see beauty because we can see beyond and know that the true essence of all of us and all things is divine. So, of course, I read way more and wrote way more than I knew I would ever speak about. But I did want to make sure I read this little quote because I love it. This is from the Taoist teachings. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. So, love that. So I want to just spend a little bit of the last few minutes here reading from this Ashtavara Gita. Now, my notes on that. So the Ashtavakra Gita was believed to have been written somewhere between 500 and 400 BCE. And it's one of the religious texts from the Vedic tradition of Hinduism. And so Ashtavakra was a sage. There's a little bit about his life that you can find on Wikipedia. And he's in this Gita, he's speaking to someone by the name of Janaka, who is a king of that time. And so Janaka says, how is one to acquire knowledge? How is one to attain liberation? And how is one to reach dispassion? Tell me this, sir. If you are seeking liberation, this is Ashtavakra talking now. If you are seeking liberation, my son, avoid the objects of the senses like poison, and cultivate tolerance, sincerity, compassion, contentment, and truthfulness as the antidote. You do not consist of any of the elements, earth, water, fire, air, or even ether. To be liberated, know yourself as consisting of consciousness, the witness of these. If only you will remain resting in consciousness, seeing yourself as distinct from the body, and even now you will become happy, peaceful, and free from bonds. You do not belong to the Brahmin or any other caste. You are not at any stage, nor are you anything that the eye can see. You are unattached and formless, the witness of everything. So be happy. Righteousness and unrighteousness, pleasure and pain are purely of the mind and are no concern of yours. You are neither the doer nor the reaper of the consequences, so you are always free. You are the one witness of everything and are always completely free. The cause of your bondage is that you see the witness as something other than this. Since you have been bitten by the black snake, the opinion about yourself that I am the doer, drink the antidote of faith in the fact that I am not the doer, and be happy. Burn down the forest of ignorance with the fire of the understanding that I am the one pure awareness, and be happy and free from distress. That in which all this, imagined like the snake in a rope, appears, that in which all this, imagined like a snake in a rope, appears, that joy, supreme joy and awareness is what you are, so be happy. If one thinks of oneself as free, one is free. And if one thinks of oneself as bound, one is bound. Here, this saying is true. Thinking makes it so. Your real nature is as the one perfect, free, and actionless consciousness, the all-pervading witness, unattached to anything, desireless and at peace. It is from illusion that you seem to be involved in samsara. Just as the mirror exists everywhere, both within and apart from its reflected images, so the Supreme Lord exists everywhere, within and apart from this body. Just as one and the same all-pervading space exists within and without a jar, so the eternal, everlasting God exists in the totality of things. And that's where I will pause and open it up for any comments, either on Zoom or here in the room. Thank you.